Okay, here we are. Good evening, everyone. Hello, welcome to Night City Sofa, a Cyberpunk RED talk show. I am Jessiper, or Jess, a TTRPG player and Cyberpunk RED fan. You can find me on Twitch, Blue Sky, and Patreon. If you're new to the channel or the show, welcome in. If you're returning, thank you so much for being here. Tonight, I am joined by a few people. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, GamesEnd. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
And Cyberpunk RED line manager, Jay Gray.
Hello, I am here.
You are. It's always wonderful to have you here, so thank you so much.
It is always this very comfortable couch. I'm happy to be here.
I don't know if you've seen the photo.
Despite the image on the title screen, yeah.
Well, it just means it's well loved and very worn in. I got my groove going.
There you go, perfect. Now, for those who may not know who you are or all the many hats you wear at our Talsorian Games, do you want to give a brief in quotes description of...
Can I do it? Hi, I'm Jay Gray. My official title is line manager for Cyberpunk RED, which is basically means I am in charge of the day-to-day operations of the game line. I oversee the making of it, and of course, because it's a small company, it also means I do writing, I do design, along with James Hutt, who is our senior designer. I work with Mike Pondsmith on lore. I do layout because way back when I was a graphic designer, and a little bit of editing and all that, and coordinating with our partners over at CD Projekt Red on the greater lore of the Cyberpunk universe. So, all of that. If there is a Cyberpunk RED product, my name is on it somewhere, doing at least once doing something.
This sounds accurate.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you are also the wonderful person behind hyperlinking all the PDFs, are you not?
That part of the layout is I go in and I hyperlink the PDFs and bookmark everything. So yeah, that is also
so much. Thank you.
Yes.
You are welcome. You owe a thanks to two people. One is Adam Duray Last. He is another graphic designer in the field. He also is co-owner of Post Shooting Studios, the producers of Eclipse Phase, a wonderful RPG, transhumanistic RPG. I highly recommend it. Adam is one of the best graphic designers in the field, and he's a big proponent of hyperlinking. The other is Zeitgeist is a reviewer. At least he was a reviewer. I don't know if he's still doing reviews. He did reviews of third-party Pathfinder stuff for the most part back in the day, and if you hyperlinked everything, he gave you bonus points in his reviews.
Well, thanks to those two wonderful individuals, because hyperlinking saves my life when I'm going through things. So
much.
Yeah, and I know it's not difficult, but it is very tedious. So I appreciate the time that you spend to hyperlink.
It takes time.
Yeah.
I've experimented with other functions in PDFing, but the truth is that while most PDF readers are forgiving of hyperlinks, if you added any of the other fancy functions PDFs are technically capable of, like say embedded video or animation or a few other really cool things, that you will break the PDF in 75 to 80% of the non-Adobe PDF readers.
I believe it. Well, and coming from a place of having gamed in the 90s and early 2000s, and every role-playing book was a choose your own adventure of all right, see page 482, and then you flip to 482 and it's yeah, but now see page 203, and you're oh my goodness. But hyperlinks, that has sold me on using PDFs instead of physical copies.
It's super useful. We are trying to be better about condensing information, so that's not... But it's hard in a system as complex. Cyberpunk is what I call a medium crunch system. In a system that's that complex, there's got to be callbacks. And a lot of it's just necessary. It's for example, I was hyperlinking a document the other day. I was okay, every time we refer to the on fire rule, I hyperlink. I don't hyperlink to it, but I do the CCBR page. Yeah. Whatever it is, because just fair. You may not know the on fire rule off the top of your head, and that's how my brain works. My brain wants to know instantly where to go to look that up. So if I'm saving you a step, that's good. I in theory, could actually hyperlink to other books, but the problem is that requires you to set up your computer in a specific way, and I don't want to require that. That's basically you have to make sure your file names are exactly right and in the exact right file folder, and that seems unfair.
Hashtag not sponsored, but if you're using Demiplane, it does all that work for you.
I will say yes. Demiplane's going to put me out of business in that field. I still got hyperlink PDFs with Demiplane. Is I use Demiplane now when I am doing my a lot of my basic research because it is very useful. I worked for a company briefly several years ago that was trying to do basically what Demiplane does with Pathfinder Adventure Paths. It was originally the software was originally designed for books, just books in general, and it was supposed to give books and pictures. It was supposed to take this wonderful those annotated, illustrated anthology books and do that. And they discovered really quickly that it worked really well with role-playing games in theory, until the investment money ran out, and like all tech startups, it fell. But yeah, Demiplane does it successfully, and Demiplane is super useful. And I will say, I'm not as sponsored, but we are a partner, so Demiplane is something I recommend if you don't have it, and you don't mind having a computer open at your table or tablet. I suppose.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it on the phone. I think it works fine on the phone, but I like big screens.
I've only found
Same.
a couple of small problems with the phone, and that's every time I'd click one thing, it would pull up the bottom thing, and I'd have to re-minimize it.
Yeah. And I'd like to understand that things like the wider tables, like the ranged tables, might be a little wide on the phone.
Yeah, but on a whole, it works great, no matter what electronic device you're using.
Yep. Demiplane, for those of you who don't know, is basically D&D Beyond for every other game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jess.
No. I was gonna say,
I
was gonna say, if you're not part of the Talsorian Discord, you should go join the Talsorian Discord.
Yes.
Link, I'm sure, is on their website.
Probably.
Right.
It was. Discord has a habit of breaking links after a while, so. But if you Google around, you should find it, and come join our Discord, or even look in Discord for it. We're our official. We've got all the things that makes it searchable.
Nice.
I think.
But I was
Rob
going to say,
has been doing a lot.
Demiplane has a channel or two in the Talsorian Discord, and they are super responsive. I am impressed at how fast they respond and correct bugs that players find, and it's...
Yeah, their team is on it. They'll be a little slower now because Daggerheart's out now. And they can't focus as much, because it was, for a while, we were the new kid and we were the shiny new toy, and all their teams were on us. And now Daggerheart is, and so, but they will still respond. They'll still look in. They're still looking in every day, and their team is really responsive for a company doing as much as it is. It's really interactive for a company. And Demiplane has Vampire, Avatar, Daggerheart, us,
Fallout,
several,
Marvel,
Fallout, Marvel,
all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah. Cool.
So go check them out.
Check them out.
Check them out.
Also, they are now fully what they call crossplay, which means if you own Demiplane, if you have the Demiplane subscription, you also have the Roll20 subscription for the same product. So if you get Cyberpunk RED in Demiplane, you'll have it in Roll20 or vice versa.
Yes.
Which is super helpful.
Yes. I don't know how much Blank uses either, but hopefully we made his life easier.
Yeah, when he found out the two were integrated, it did make his life easier.
He was very excited for that. I think he was waiting for, because it was this one where if you had it on Roll20 and it could link to Demiplane, I think that's what he was waiting for, which just released.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah, that's super useful. By the way, has he found out that there's an NPC that shares his name in Hope Reborn?
I don't think so. Although when I read through that one, that made me laugh real hard.
It's an absolute coincidence. It really is, because Eddie Webb, the writer who wrote it, has no idea who Blank is.
Right.
No, he's in the UK, and he thought that was a good name for an NPC, that particular NPC. But it struck me as funny.
So slight, teeny tiny spoiler for
We promise
Overboard.
we'll actually get to one here soon.
But slight, teeny, itty bitty spoiler. Blank is a sleazy XBD fixer in
he's a drug
Overboard. And so, very much not like our Blank. Our Blank is lovable. But I had to laugh because if I recall, he's lovable. He constantly tries to kill us in the game, and he's way too hardcore, but lovable. But I want to say somewhere in Hope Reborn it mentioned that, Blank picked that name because he thought it was edgy and cool. And I want to say that our Blank, because it's been his nickname for since he was a teen.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the exact same reason, and I think I laughed for like 10 minutes straight.
I believe the exact words is, his name is Blank. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that thinks Blank is a cool name.
Yeah, I think he was like 15 when he made the Blank Link email address. I'm not going to say where, at what service, and then that became shortened to Blank, so.
Because he thought it was edgy and cool. But yeah, I don't know if he realizes there's a character that shares his moniker in the Reborn just yet. Okay. We're gonna get back on topic.
Yes, we should probably.
Tonight, as of now, we're gonna start talking about Interface Red Volume 4. Woo! The PDF is released over on DriveThruRPG, so you can go and pick it up right now. It released.
Is it on the screen?
Yes, now you are.
Yes. It was released on May 9th, and it hit Platinum in the first 24 hours of release.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for that.
Has that ever happened before, and how did that make you feel when that news came around?
Well, people were really excited about it because we've been, people obviously were looking forward to it. I think, I think Black Chrome reached Platinum within 24 hours. And the core rulebook probably did. I don't remember if Interface 3 did, and I'm pretty sure Danger Gal didn't, and neither of the Tales did. And admittedly so, those aren't quite as sexy as a gear book, or people like strong out of the gate player care gen level player options in gear, so that makes perfect sense. And so that's super exciting, and it makes me feel good for a couple of reasons. One, it means that book has now paid for itself, which up until the book goes for sale, and for those of you who do not know, Interface Red is a compilation of a year's worth, roughly, of free articles, because we put out a free article every month on our website. A year's worth of those free articles, plus one free article, which we try to make fun and interesting and something a lot of people want with a wide appeal. This year it was martial arts. And up until we sell Interface Red, we are, technically speaking, at a deficit for the DLC because it costs money to make. If we paid an outside writer, if we paid an outside artist to do the art, if we even if it's inside art, for example, by Dolan Pondsmith, and inside writing by myself or James or Cody or someone else, the company still pays the time it takes for us to do that. We get paid a salary, and so that costs money. But once, it's nice to know that at Platinum it is more than paid for itself, and so it feels good to know, because we take the money from that and we make more. So it feels good to know that, and it feels good to know people want the stuff we're making. It's always nice,
right?
And so thank you to everyone who's bought it. Every once in a while we get the why should I pay for something I've already, it's 90% content I already have, to which I respond, please consider it an investment and a thank you for the free content you get, of which it remains free. It's not like we leave it free and then we take it away after the Interface Red's out. It remains on the website, and in fact, changes we make will eventually be populated for the Interface Red, will eventually be populated to the DLCs themselves. So I'll upload new versions of those sometime down the line, so that you have them still for free.
I always keep the first releases so that I can argue the rules later.
That sounds right.
The nice thing about digital first is that you have time to fix.
Right.
For example, anyone who's eagle-eyed will notice that Molotov cocktails, as of Interface Red Volume 4, can no longer be loaded into grenade launchers.
Aww.
I don't think I ever noticed that.
They were never intended to be in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just we forgot to say it because...
Why would you do that?
Because
why would we? And we realized that people were launching them into flare guns, loading them into flare guns and launching them. They're like, oh, well, we probably should tell people that you can't put a bottle of vodka inside your grenade launcher.
I would have made it explode the grenade launcher personally, but hey.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we will eventually, specifically Black Chrome Plus and Conapps and Studio Apartments will have new versions uploaded.
Okay.
I can also say that Blank waits until anything goes to print on demand to buy it.
Yes.
So we have to buy the digital versions so that we can argue with him about the new stuff. And then as soon as he can buy the print on demand, he does so immediately.
And print on demand versions will probably be up sometime next month. There were a lot of questions about martial arts, which is good. But in people asking questions, we realized a few things we can fix. And the nice thing I said about digital is you can update it without having to... I can't update print, except for to put out a new thing and say, hey, will you buy it again? Or you download this errata page and stick it inside the book.
Glue it in.
Yeah, but we are James and I are going to sit down next week and go through and make some tweaks to the rules. The rules will not change anything specifically. We're not going to say, oh, well, we're not nerfing anything. We're not buffing anything. What we're going to do is two things that make it more clear as to how some of these rules operate and remove some of the nebulousnesses. When 5 people ask the same question or variations of it, we realize that maybe it could be a little better written. Once we're sure that's good, I will set the print-on-demand versions. There will be 2. There will be a standard print, which will be X dollars, and there will be a premium print, which will be X plus more dollars because premium is a better print job. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get the proofs back, and once I get the proofs, I can put them, because Drive-Thru won't let us sell them before we get the proofs, because they don't want to have us, say, hey, you messed up our books, and then we'll put it on sale. So the PLD versions will be available. The normal package for POD plus PDF is POD plus the PDF at half price. If you buy the POD when it's available and you've already bought the PDF, it will figure out what the difference is, so you will effectively get half the price of the PDF off the POD version. Drive-Thru automatically does that, and it's very nice.
That's fantastic.
So don't worry about missing the package deal.
I had so many things flow through my brain as you guys were chatting, and now the only thing I can remember is your next deck set should be errata cards. So instead of like print on demand, you should have little cards that people can slot into their books.
That would be cool.
Completely nonsensical. I'm sure I had an actual valid idea, but that's the one that stuck.
Yeah, and our decks are not print on demand too. So.
Yes, if you guys don't know, the Netrunner deck and Trauma deck are both print on demand, and you should definitely go pick those up.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys talked about why you should definitely buy Interface Red, because it helps pay for things and lets people eat, and that's very important. And we talked about print on demand, so I'm just going to keep scrolling through.
I'm sorry, I don't have your notes this week, so
it's all good.
My tangents
it flowed beautifully. I just have to find out where I am now. I did have a question. I'm going to put the table of contents up on the screen. You'd mentioned it's a selection of DLCs from...
2023.
Thank you. I was going to say that year, but that seemed very ambiguous. So, in each volume of Interface Red has a different number of DLCs. It's not always the same. So how do you guys decide which DLCs include, how many to include? what makes the cut, sort of, so to speak?
So Volume 1 was just a collection. And it was like, oh, all the ones to this point, period. Starting in Volume 2, we started compiling them by year. I think it was Volume 2. And Volume 3, for example, was 2022. Volume 1 was kind of 2021. Volume 4's 2023's DLCs. Volume 5, when we get to it, will be 2024's. So for Volume 4, we went through, I looked through all the DLCs that we released that year. And the 2 Listen Ups came out that year, but we left them off because we worked with outside writers, specific GMs, so we wanted to leave those. It didn't feel right to put them into a paid product for that particular purpose. So the one listed to John the Wise, listed up to Rob Mulligan. And then I think the other one we left out was Tales of the Red Street Stories Plus, which has nothing of interest if you don't know Tales of the Red Street Story Plus. It is maps and tokens and additional information for that. I think that was it. I think Danger Gal Dossier Plus is the next year. And it probably won't be included either because I don't think there's much in there that's of interest that if you don't have Danger Gal Dossier, there's a couple of characters that didn't make the cut into the DGT. So Black Chrome Plus we left in, but we left out the Black Chrome specific stuff. Like maps and tokens for Black Chrome. Black Chrome. We did include the Molly Anderson's Night Market, which is new items, because new items are good no matter what you have.
She's got junk items, which are great when you have no money.
Yes, Scavenge Armor is fantastic.
Yes.
And it has the linear frame and fashion recognition guides, which are also very useful outside of Black Chrome. So that is basically how we decided. As a result, it was actually about 20 pages shorter than I had initially anticipated, which is fine. It makes it slightly shorter than Interface Red Volume 3. But it probably won't make too much of a difference in price because there gets a point where 20 pages doesn't make that much of a difference in bulk cost.
Right.
Right. Cool. Thank you for explaining. It's always curious.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome. And it's a good question.
So all the volume, of course, contains, you can see it on the screen, maybe it's a little too small, but Hornet's Pharmacy, which has a whole bunch of new drugs, street drugs and pharmaceuticals. And Black Chrome Plus, which we talked about. Achievements and loot boxes, which I swear one day we will get Blank to have a Mr. Maze loot box drop in at some point in our game. Stickball, which is a really fun alternative to fighting on the street. Check it out. The Dreaded Punk Knot, Corporate Con Studio Apartments, Halloween Scream Sheets, 12 Days of Gearmas, and, of course, the new Cyberfists of Fury.
Yes.
Now, I did notice that there's a couple additional pages that, I guess to fill for layout, because not every DLC ends nicely where, where it could.
Yeah. A lot of DLCs have odd numbers of pages instead of even numbers of pages. And as a result, they end on a facing page instead of the back of a facing page, which means I need to put something on the back of that page so I can start the next article on a facing page. It's very important to me.
Yes.
And so there were additional stuff. There were 2 article changes. Black Chrome Plus, I added the Omega frames to the linear frame recognition guide because Omega frames came out after the original came out. The original Black Chrome Plus article came out. I felt, well, we have 3 types of major categories of linear frame now. I should have all 3. And then Conapps and studio apartments. I decided to go with. We have this beautiful new map that we premiered earlier this year for Night City, and it's like, wow, I'm going to put the new map in, and the new map is designed to be a full page, and the old map wasn't. So, paradoxically, by taking away a third of a page at the beginning, I gained a page at the end, and as a result, in such a way that I was able to add the Zarafa AN7 3TR, I believe it is, which is a really super hyped up robot Roomba that is also capable of painting windows and countertops and making your bed.
Wait, so which one is this one in?
Conapps and studio apartments. If you go to the houseware section.
Why am I not using the sidebar on the left? Just.
Yes, use the bookmarks. They're there for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
But if you go to the end of that article, you will find there is a new drone from Zarafa.
There is.
About 100 years ago, when we used to do a physical Cyberpunk 2020 game, we had effectively those that every time we'd throw a house party, they'd get stolen.
Yep.
Those AMT3TR? That's clever.
Yes. And so, in the end, even with those changes, I still had the occasional article where I had a back page. So there's 2 new garden landing pages.
Yes.
Which we haven't seen core rulebook.
I did see those.
With that shows off, talks about specific, shows off some TV shows that you might watch in Night City, and 4 specific albums from bands in the time of the Red. And then there is the Punk Knot has a sheet, and I think there are some additional ads that we put in.
That's fantastic.
I know there's a shower in the can ad.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the other one is. There's one at the bottom of each of the garden pages. I can't remember what the other one is. I should look.
I'm looking at it right now. It just says your cyber isn't as safe as you think it is. Is that?
Oh yeah, there's that. That's not ominous at all, is it? That can't hopefully be a forewarning of something.
I feel like
something
we've seen
conspiracy theory should dissect and look at in detail.
There's so many of those in the DLCs.
What's it called? There's a photo technique that I can't think of the name of right now, but the photo technique Santa head that's just sitting there scarily.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry, Games. You were.
No, I was just saying, like, as far as like the deep lore conspiracy theories, like they are throughout all the DLC.
Yeah.
I'm glad you pointed out this ad because I honestly could not remember if we had seen this because it feels like something I've seen in All About Agents or something similar, but this is new.
No, that is new.
Okay.
That is completely new, made just for this. I'm actually a little disappointed that no one's really latched onto it because it was specifically designed to be conspiracy theory made.
I will have to.
There you go. Talk about it, everybody.
Yeah, I'll have to spend more time looking at it. I did like the popular keywords at the top too. I noticed a lot of those tags were from Hope Reborn.
Yes, and the keywords in the top of the other one are from stories.
Yes. So you guys get new content even in the ad, so it's all good.
Oh yeah. No, there's. I always take the opportunity to do a little world building.
I'm a little sad that little vacuum drone cleaner is like $5,000 because I'm never gonna get one.
It's a luxury item for rich people.
We'll
rich
steal
people
it.
Robot made. That's
not why you steal them.
Yeah, we have to steal them. You know what? Let's just put our whole revenge plan on hold. Steal one of these.
Well, hopefully the person you're having revenge on has one.
Right.
Okay. Oh, there is a question. You know, there's a question in chat about Black Chrome Plus.
2 questions.
Yes.
But yeah, because before I move on to actual Cyberfists of Fury, we'll answer this one. Black Chrome Plus, it says scavenged armor is body armor only, but in Danger Galdasti it's stated as being purchasable as both body and head.
I will fix that. It is head and body.
There you go.
Yeah, it was
that would be in one of the errata cards, the new errata deck. That's never coming out.
Yeah, it was originally just body, and then we expanded to body and head in in Danger Gal. And I forgot to make the change when I laid this out, and I'll fix that for the print version, and it'll be updated with the new file that will be uploaded to drive-through, which you'll get for free if you already own it.
By the way, the new conspiracy ad, if you're looking for it, is on page 72 of Interface Red Volume 4. So, in games, you said there was another question?
There was just a question earlier. It was a kind of a silly question, but still fun. For Interface going platinum, do you guys get a cool framed platinum manual hanging on the office wall, like they do with platinum albums?
Oh, it would be really cool if we got whenever one of our the highest level is adamantine over at drive-thru. It'd be really nice if at that they send us one of those, sort of like YouTube sends play buttons.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It would be great if drive-thru sent us those, but no, I'll have to suggest that to Meredith. I said, you should really be sending us something for our office wall.
It's true. So you can have it behind you when you're doing meetings.
Yeah.
I think a platinum foil image of your cover would be really, really cool.
That would be cool.
Okay. So before we move on to Cyberfists of Fury, is there anything else that you've added or changed, or anything about the DLCs contained in Interface Red Volume 4 that you'd like to talk about that you don't think enough people know about, that, is cool and fun?
I think we're good. I mean, please check them out. They're all neat. They're fantastic. And I love them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Alright, so Cyberfists of Fury. Expanded martial arts. Written and designed by James Hutt.
Yes.
I know people have been, even in the small amount of the time that I have spent in the Cyberpunk community, people have been super excited for more martial arts.
Yes.
Outside of the four that come with the core rulebook.
Yeah, this has been asked for many, many, many times. Where's my blood? Insert my favorite martial art here. The only question I think we got more was, what's going on in insert my country / city here in the time of the Red. And so, James, really worked hard on this. He wanted every martial art to feel, and the thing is, we could have done more, but past this point, you start getting the martial arts feeling like they're really the same as other martial arts, because there's only so many ways you can move your body to hit people and block hits from people. We worked hard. We try to end each new interface Red with a bang, and first we're like, we'll do exotics because people like bio exotics, and then we'll do FPCs because people really want FPCs, and then I said, James, what are you doing? He said, I think it's time to do martial arts because people are always asking. I think you're right, James, and so here we go.
And now we can finally do a cyberpunk version of Only the Strong, the capoeira coming of age movie. So
yes.
Cool. Before we actually get to martial arts, which I know everybody's excited for, but I will talk about lore until my last breath, so we are going to start there. Do not skip the lore bits, guys. They're real good. So, we start off with the narration. I skipped something. Did I skip something? No, I didn't. We start off with the narration, a brief explanation of martial arts before jumping headfirst. The section is entitled Tigers and Wolves. And our narrator witnesses a street fight after leaving a Bridget Bash show at Metal Storm. And this is the first two sentences, and I stopped, and I was like, have we ever heard of Bridget Bash before?
No, Bridget Bash is
I didn't think so.
A new rocker boy in Night City.
So, guys, new rocker boy in Night City, in lore.
Yeah.
Very exciting. For those of you who don't know, Maelstrom is a bar popular with FBCs, located under the Pacifica Bridge. And then when the narrator leaves the club, they hear the sound of shouting, expecting gunfire, but when none follows, they use their tactile boost cyberware, which I don't see used often enough, and I think it's really, really cool. Because you can touch a surface and sense people and things within a certain radius. So they sense these two figures, and it says, squaring up 50 meters south under the bridge, at the edge of its NN Ned tech upgraded range. Now, we met Never Naughty Ned from 12 Days of Redmas.
Yes.
And now we know his tech upgraded range, 50 meters south of Metal Storm.
Oh no! That means the range of the tactile boost is 50 meters.
Oh,
It's been upgraded 50 meters.
understood.
But yes, Never Not
I
Dead
misread
is
that.
Santa's favorite tech.
Yes. So that was really great to see Never Naughty Ned come back. Is there anything more you can tell us about, or is he shrouded in mystery?
He is shrouded in mystery. Everything with Santa, like everything with SANTA, there is a mystery to the character.
I like that we've seen. I think this is the second bit of Santa-esque lore, I will say, that's come out this year since the 12 days, because in April we got 12 Days of Cuteness, which was also tangentially had a Santa sprinkling in as well. So it's nice to see that throughout the year. And then, of course, our narrator is run by a Wolfman exotic with good taste in music, it says. Now, is this a generic NPC? I feel like I should recognize this character.
It's someone in James's head, but I don't know that he's given these particular characters names.
Okay. The way it was described, I had this sense of like, oh, should I be recognizing this character?
Digging through things.
Yeah. Like the ad, conspiracy theories, always pay attention. And then we're giving beautiful narration of this fight, but what I like before the fight starts is the Tiger Claw member removes their jacket or whatever, and you can see a full tiger tattoo on their back, and it is done in traditional ink with light tattoo highlights or accents to it. And I've seen quite a few people question or comment, does traditional ink still exist?
Oh yeah, no, it still does.
And I like that this is like a very clear like black and white like spot where I can point to and be like, yes, it does. See? Right here.
Yeah,
and yes, you can mix the two. See? It's right here.
Think about Jackie has plenty of it in 2077.
Oh, that's true. You did. And then, yeah, you get to... There's, like, an epic fight. You should go read it, so I'm not going to spoil what happens. But go read the lore. It's good. There's tons of stuff in there.
Read it.
There's also a lore bit at the end of the supplement about Shaitan.
Yes.
Why did you include the story at the end of Cyberfists of Fury as opposed to, like, in the beginning where... I don't know, lore... I can't say no lore normally, so sometimes lore is at the end. But I guess we have broken up.
It just, that's the way it worked in James's head when James worked on the article. Is he wanted to end it an interface read with a surprise, with a wow moment, and with a here's the ultimate martial artist training montage mixed with cyber psychosis spoilers. So James came to me and he said, "Hey, I want to do Shaitan. We know he survived because Mike's talked about it. Can I?" And I'm like, "You know what? That's a great question." And so we went to Mike and said, "Hey, Mike, we want to do Shaitan and we want to talk about what happened afterwards. And here's James's idea." And Mike was like, "Yeah, I dig it." And then we went to CDPR really quick and said, "Hey, Shaitan's on our side. It's cool, but we just want to make sure this doesn't change anything you have planned before you got a chance to tell us about it, because it's something you didn't want to talk to us about." They said, "No, we don't, nothing. Just to be sure." I said, "Okay, James, go for it." And he wrote what is honestly his best piece of fiction so far in a game. I'm really, really proud of him for the work he did on it, and we got to bring him in there and put him in there and make him something that you can use in your game if you want, because it's not that you couldn't before, but it's always nice to have that kind of permission in a way to say, "Hey, yeah, no, he's there and I kind of know where he is, and now I know he's upgraded, and now I know he's been doing nothing for 20 years but this, so if I want that character in, I can bring him in, and I'll have a better idea of what he's like, and I know what he's like as Darth Vader as opposed to Anakin Skywalker. Not that he's evil, but he's a different character in a way now in 2045 than he was in 2020.
I think James did such a great job, writing his mental state during that narration that he did.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I love the way it bookends the story. Like, this feels like oh my god, like the end of a book you're reading where you're like, oh my god, now I need the next bit. Like, it's nice. It's a nice.
It is nice.
Bit of
it's always fun to write these bits of fiction because we get to revisit favorite characters. I get to bring out Angie Wu or Brain or Free Piece or other characters, and James gets to bring out Never Naughty Ned or Santa and or Jericho. We each have our own favorites we like to write with, and so let's write to them. And the Shaitan piece is taking a classic character and expanding them, and that was a lot of fun.
For those, I guess we should probably maybe quickly talk about, for those who don't know who Shaitan is.
Yes.
Would you like to give a quick lore dump?
Shaitan is a man with a certain set of skills, a specific set of skills. Shaitan, basically, he's a guy who got really pissed at Arasaka back in the day for reasons involving his mom, and Arasaka killed his family. Long story short, and so he decided to get revenge. And in his pursuit for revenge, he sought greater enhancement. And unlike Morgan Blackhand, he embraced the chrome. He embraced the metal. And he became a full body conversion. He was an Eclipse. He was a Commando. He was the ultimate cyber commando ninja, special forces guy. And we last saw Shaitan in 2020. He was with Johnny's party. If you play 27/7, spoilers for a 5-year-old game, there is a sequence in which you flash back to the invasion of Arasaka Tower, and Shaitan's in the helicopter, and like 5 seconds into the invasion, he gets shot and dies, or is at least laid out. And spoiler alert, that's not actually what happened. What actually happened is he went in with him, and then Adam Smasher showed up, and Shaitan went toe-to-toe with him, and as this fiction says, at a range they were matched, but close up he was not a match for Adam Smasher, and he got torn literally to pieces. And he managed to survive because FPCs are hardy that way, and went on to become to do what's in the story. Please get the story and read it. But Shaitan is basically he's a Navy SEAL kind of character. That cool Navy SEAL action movie hero from from the 80s, who has gone on to become an even bigger badass in 2045.
And I like that this is one of those pieces where you had the lore from 2020, you kind of where it was in 2077, and you got to be like, let's play with the story of where this character is in this moment in time.
I don't know where he is in 2077 actually, or we don't, because you never see him except for that flashback.
Oh,
But it was a good chance. Yeah, we don't play with 2020 characters too often. It's one of those things where you have to strike a balance. You don't want to make it all about bringing back the past kind of thing, but at the same time, you want to play with the past, and this was a great chance to do so, and make this character just more interesting. Advance their story and do some really cool art, because that's him on the cover, with a piece of art done by the amazingly wonderful Dolan Pondsmith,
who also, by the way, did the artwork for 12 Days of Kyudo, which is also stellar.
Yes.
Like, both pieces are just...
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's Shaitan. And there's a good, cool, beautifully written section about them at the end of the book, so
Yes.
take a look at that as well. Okay, so I guess we'll finally get to the martial arts stuff, but so after this narration, after this lore bit, you guys did decide to put in a martial arts professor, which I am so grateful for, because when you have things in so many places, having it in the place where I could just move a page as opposed to having multiple books open.
Yeah.
Thank you for
so in the core rule
quality
book,
of life help.
we catch a lot of flack in the core rulebook for repeating things multiple times, but we felt in this, and deservedly so, but in this particular case, we felt that just going over it again so you have an understanding before you read the rules. So I was like, oh, I don't remember, you read the rules, like, I quite don't remember how this works. Especially, this is important because there are weapon-based martial arts in here. We had to basically make sure you fully understood that your basic martial arts attack is not made with the weapon. And that was important. So yeah, we decided okay, we're going to tell you, we're going to go over it again. You have an understanding, so you know you have what you need to understand the rules.
Start from a clear place.
Yes. That was very important.
So basics, martial arts is treated as a rate fire 2 melee attack. Melee attacks ignore half the defender's armor. As such, so do martial arts attacks. That's why. Their damage is based on the attacker's body stat, unless stated otherwise. In order to use a martial arts form, you need at least 1 point in the skill. It is also treated like science or language in that every time you increase the skill, you have to choose which form you're training. There is no generic martial arts. There is no generic language. You have to pick a specific one. Each form comes with 2 special moves unique to that form, but also all martial arts forms can benefit from shared special moves. It says moves. There's only one.
There's only one.
Shared special move. It's called Recovery. It's really great. Is there a reason? I feel like sometimes there's a lot of overlap. Is there a reason no shared special moves were added? Is it just to keep the forms more unique?
Because at that moment we would include something that would theoretically be available to everyone who has martial arts in the core, just from the core rule book, but only if they own this book, and that seemed unfair. So it would literally coming to the table, for example, player A only owns core rulebook, player B owns core rulebook in this. They both have characters who know martial arts. Player B technically they both have that new special move that in theory was in here, but only player B actually does. So that wasn't fair.
I like that. I like that as the reasoning. Like it was just an equality thing. It's great. It's heartwarming. The games are so good.
Thank you.
Okay. Also, all martial arts special moves have requirements that have to be met before they can be used. Some only affect specific conditions, so be mindful of this when you're choosing which forms to take. For example, some require a will stat of 8, or a move of 8. If you don't have those stats, either maybe find a way to boost it if you can find a way to boost it, or maybe don't pick that martial art. Just be mindful of those requirements.
Yes.
And then just to be clear, unless it is stated, a martial arts special move does not use the player's action. Correct.
Right. So yes, when it uses when it is an action, it specifically says it's an action.
Right. Okay. So just to clarify for everyone before we get into these, because those basics are very important.
Yeah, because a lot of the things, like the prerequisites, revolve around you having already done your actions. So,
no.
Right.
So for those of you who don't know, the core rulebook gave us 4 martial arts forms. This supplement adds 23, with 2 special moves each. So you essentially get 46 special moves across a variety of martial arts forms, which is phenomenal. Jay, do you know how James went about deciding which forms to include and how many he cut out?
Well, so the first thing we did is we scoured through the 2020 material and picked up martial arts unique to the 2020 universe, Arasaka-te, Panzerfaust, Zamak, and there was a Sambo, a unique Sambo, I believe. And we made sure to include those. For sure. Absolutely, there was no choice. They're unique to the universe, so we wanted them. Beyond that, he just sat down and he started, listing martial arts, doing his research, and kind of keywording them, so to speak. It's like, this is a defensive martial art. This is a martial art that focuses on throws. And he tried to get a series of them that each one would feel relatively unique. Some of them were like automatically you had to were no, kung fu, Krav Maga, certain things that are just obvious that we're going to add. Others were and Tai Chi. Others were like, oh well, which sword martial art do we add? It's Kendo. Which archery martial art? And then we went through, and he's just like, okay, this one's different because the concept here was, I think I've said this, but I'm going to repeat it. The concept was to create 23 styles so that when you have 23 characters, each of those 23 characters feel like they fought in a different way. And that was important. Also, he did a lot of thinking about how different martial arts. He talked about mixed martial arts and what people study for that kind of thing, what martial arts mixed with what martial arts. There was a lot of reading of blogs and journals and the like before he finally came down to those. And there were, I believe, 22 until I came back and said, we need a martial art for people that have more than 2 arms. And then there were 23.
I would love to see the list of ones that get cut, and just like the ridiculous ones, like the one that uses like chi as a striking force. Like,
yeah, I mean, and we had limits. Obviously, it can't be that. There's a certain amount of Hong Kong theater, so to speak, of martial arts in these martial arts, but literal magic can't be done. So no chi strikes.
Can we have a martial arts form that's based solely around the was it the arc thrower? It's called the lightning, the one that replaces your hand. You don't have a hand, but you can throw lightning.
Yeah. So there's certain things. I mean, in theory, you're like, oh yeah, you can, in theory, do that with a cyber arm, with an arc throwing cyber arm. But there are limits, and obviously there are so many more than that's in here. There are hundreds of martial arts in the world, if not thousands. So we had to, limit, and we also wanted to be somewhat global and not stick entirely in the Far East, in Eastern Asia and Southeast Asia. So we tried to wander around at least a little bit.
I love the inclusion of like capoeira and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to talk about all of them. I think I've got like 12, 13 on the list that we're going to look at. Because I wanted to showcase as much variety as I could without going through every single one.
Well, let's see what we can do. We got a half an hour.
So just to start, Arasaka-te, which you mentioned, and yes. I love that the description says, it's easy to learn moves. There is no stat-based requirement. So if you're just starting out or you're not sure, Arasaka-te is like a solid choice, I guess. If you're just if you have a character that's like dabbling or starting to.
It's a great choice, and it's a good choice if you're playing a non-combat character, because escape hold by itself is super useful. You can get out of a grapple the turn you're put into it, as long as you go after the person grappling you, which in theory you're going to do. As soon as you're put in a grapple, you can get out of it, and so that's super. That alone, I think that's worth the cost of entry, but also. It makes it easier to make that the counter strike makes it easy to do a quick shot and then run away, which is pretty useful too. There's just some really cool stuff.
100%. Okay, next we're just gonna quickly jump over to boxing.
Yes.
And I wanted to point this one out because. For, I believe, the punch... Which one is it? Is it the punch combination? Yes, the requirement is you hit the same target with 2 brawling attacks this turn. It is brawling attacks, not martial arts attacks.
It is.
And that is
brawling.
Different because brawling does not ignore half armor.
Yes, boxing is not a armor. Boxing in and of itself is not designed to break through people's defenses and kill them. Mm-hmm. In general, boxing, while it can be deadly, is a sport, and so by itself, it's not really designed for that. But It is cool, and I believe it works out that if you get some very specific requirements to do certain combinations, you can get something like 4 brawling attacks a turn with this.
Oh yeah.
Which, yeah, it doesn't beat armor, but if your opponent A has low armor or no armor at all, incredibly useful. And, you know, if they're low armor or no armor, it no longer matters.
Yeah.
I also love that you have to specify that they can't take the, what is it, broken jaw penalty more than once. Like,
oh yeah, in the knockout punch, yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
And also,
that's reinforcement. In theory, you can never have any critical injury more than once, except for one very specific tear up crit.
Right.
and for the knockout punch, I just kind of to confirm, because this is one of those few ones, they do suffer the broken jaw critical injury in addition to martial arts attack damage, and I believe because I've seen this written elsewhere, you specifically state they do not, like in other places, not in this one, when they do not take the bonus, the 5 extra points of damage, so I assume for the knockout punch, they still take those 5 points of critical injury damage.
Knockout punch is absolutely nasty. The broken jaw critical injury by itself is they can't talk, which is not fun. But the 5 damage, and you're making a you're making a headshot.
Yes.
So it's times 2 damage to the martial art. So it is nasty, and you're doing it. You're doing it at a -5 penalty, but still,
which is better than -8.
Yeah. It's basically a free aim shot, a lesser aim shot, a lesser penalty aim shot to the head, with a guaranteed critical injury.
Yep. But I did want to point that out, because if you guys are reading through this and you're like, does it count? Unless it states otherwise, they take the bonus damage.
Yes, absolutely. We specifically say when the critical injury does not cause bonus damage.
Yes. Okay, moving on. I'm going to butcher this horribly. Choy Li Fut? Is that close?
Choy Li Fut. As far as I know, that is how you pronounce it, Choy Li Fut.
Cool.
I believe so too.
I really like this one because its requirements based on movement.
Yes.
This one's amazing.
This is incredible. Yeah. Like, you fly around the battlefield.
Yeah. It's a beautiful martial art. It's a great way to get, like, if you want a character that really moves, you want that character that kind of flows through a battle and moves across the battlefield quickly, this is the one to take. Which is really nice.
Well, and there's a lot of them that, as a non-combat character, my current character I'm running, is designed not to get in fights, but there's a lot of them that have requirements that allow you to not be a combat character and still get the benefit.
Yeah. And if you have a high evasion character and a move 6, this allows you basically to move without, taking an action, to run to double move without taking an action to do so. And that's really useful for getting out of range if you're playing a coward.
Right.
Well, and I was just reading this. I believe you can do both of these special moves on the same turn. Because the
honestly,
first
yes.
Shaolin step, right? Because as long as you dodge everything, and you haven't taken the run action, you get to run. Your extra hits, as long as you hit the same target twice, then you get to do a third attack. So you could dodge all the attacks, hit 2 people, run over to your friend, and whack a third guy, because why not?
Hit two people, one of them, or 3 people, or one of them twice.
Yeah.
I'm talking about 3 people, if they're all within range.
Yeah.
Yes. Or 2 people if you hit somebody twice. But yeah, this would allow you to do up to 3 hits and get the hell out of dodge, and retreat to a safe range before they can attack you back.
Yeah.
Because with a move 6, no one is going to be able to catch you without sacrificing their action.
Yeah,
unless they also have Choy Li Fut. Really fun. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really fun. Okay, so next, I had to talk about Gun Fu.
Okay.
There's a lot to Gunfu.
There is a lot to Gunfu.
Combat reload is fantastic. It essentially gives you a free reload. The Wu technique, though, there's a lot to it. You gain a lot of benefits. So, and as someone who uses handguns, by the way, I love this because my character uses handguns and melee weapons, generally speaking, and I've always used heavy weapons, or less, because I like the rate of fire 2 over dealing more damage. I have a micro cutie hyper burst pistol that does 2d6 that I never use anymore. It's solely there for Asia Pop fashion because it doesn't get through armor, because now we're at a point in our campaign where armor is just default 11 and I roll shit damage. And with this, you have helped low damage weapons do more, and I'm so very appreciative of that.
Yeah, no, it's nice because it basically lets you precision shoot. You always hear in the movies, well, if it had been 1 centimeter to the left, well, this makes sure you get 1 centimeter to the left. You precision shoot up to 25 m yards. So basically, you're making martial art gun fu attacks with your handgun from a range. They ignore half armor. They can be dodged like any other martial arts attack. The damage is either the damage of your fist or your body damage based on martial arts, or your gun damage, whichever is higher. So if you are a low,
a body 5 character that only does 2d6 damage body, but handgun has 3d6 damage.
Then you can get a boost to 3d6 or even 40, even 46 if you're using a Perseus.
Yes. Oh, Perseus.
And your gun fu skill, your martial arts gun fu skill, does go down to your handgun skill if your handgun skill is lower. But my guess is if you have this skill, you're going to make sure they're at parity.
Yes.
And then you get the ammunition effect. So it can be armor shredding or incendiary. You do not get the other bonuses from the gun. We'll make that clear. We're going to work on that. We're going to do an errata and make that clear. You don't get, for example, if it's an excellent quality weapon, you don't get the +1. If it's, it doesn't get any other additional benefits.
Of the attachments or anything?
Yeah, you don't get any attachments for having a scope, for example, because it's shooting from the hip. It's quickly shooting in a precision using your skill as opposed to the skill given to you by equipment. But so that is gun fu is awesome. I am quite happy with it. I was worried, honestly, when James started designing. I was like, oh, will it make too powerful, not powerful enough, or but I think he found that sweet spot in it, and it's very cinematic.
I was gonna say that 100%. Like, I was excited for this section because I love the trash, late 70s, 80s, 90s action movies and kung fu films and all that, and you look at any film that has gun fu, it's just absurd. And so when I saw the short list of things that are going to be in here, and there was talk of gun fu, I was like, I hope it's not game breaking good, but it's still worth doing. And you guys nailed it.
Yeah. Drunken Fist, which was the one before this, is Jackie Chan fighting with a ladder. If you've never seen it, go to YouTube and type Jackie Chan ladder, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And gun fu is John Woo with doves flying up behind him.
Yeah, and they're both balanced really well, and I love them.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Toggle's quote there that says the Wu technique is alternatively known as the Black Hand technique, the Wick technique, or the Gibbs technique, depending on the gunner doing the shooting.
I've had people ask me who Gibbs is, and I was very sad. It's okay. It's outside of America. Mostly people from outside the U.S. So to be fair. Yeah, I don't know how well NCIS plays outside of the United States.
I can't imagine it. It has huge ratings.
Yeah. But it was also nice to write Toggle again.
Love Toggle. I like your statement of not choosing favorites to diminish anybody else, but I do. Whenever I see Toggle, I get real excited.
Toggle is. I am So Toggle literally was we ordered a piece of art. James a couple of years ago ordered that piece of art of Toggle, just of a guy in a ski mask in a sewer for an idea he had. The idea didn't pan out. I forget why. This was before I was line manager, and the piece of art just sat there. And I was looking through the unused art folder. There's a couple pieces in there one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's the guy. That's the guy that has the shooting range." And then I made up Toggle, and I was like, Toggle's got to be the 3 C's. And I was like, what are the 3 C's? Cops, corpse, and what's? And I was like, oh, cetaceans. And I'm just so thrilled with how well people have received Toggle. He is another one of my... I don't do favorites, but he is enjoyable as heck to write.
No. He's super enjoyable to read. I always get real excited. So.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, moving on. Next is, how did I skip it in my sheet here? Oh, it's right next to it. Jujutsu. These ones are. Why did I choose this one? What was the specific reason I chose this one?
I don't know. Jujutsu's neat, but I don't know why you picked this one in particular. It has, I know one of the, okay, so the throwing technique does have a will requirement.
It allows, like, 20-pound, 90-pound wimps to, like, hit FBCs with amazing force.
Maybe? You know what? That's. I think that's what it is. Yes, because as someone who has a really crap body score, doing 2d6 isn't going to do much. But if I can use your body score to just eat it, that's exactly why I chose it. Yes.
In theory, if you're like going up against an Omega frame guy, and you can, and notice it says it hits the target, and you're about to damage them. It doesn't. Say that you have damaged them, so you could plunk right off there, right? Or you could be about to plunk right off them. But you beat at DVV 15, and suddenly you're hitting with their body and not your body, and so you can design. You throw your points on something else. You don't need the body.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a really cool. And that's one of the other things I really like about this is it allows you to. There's a lot of valid builds you can make with these martial arts that aren't, I'm just going to take the highest body possible.
Yes.
It defeats in some way the what are the fans calling the Sigma meta, where you're like going to the Sigma framed martial art. There's other ways to be a cool martial artist without that high body.
Yes.
And some of the best martial artists in the world, like IRL, are not big dudes.
Yeah, well, I realized it's not. Because Mr. Miyagi did karate, but I call Jujutsu the Mr. Miyagi martial art because he's this tiny little dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't remember what karate they say that he did. I mean, other than general karate, but
yeah, it's Miyagi karate. So
yeah. It's a lot like Kempo, the way that a lot of it works. So,
yeah.
Okay, so next is, I believe that says Kendo.
You're gonna talk. I mean, there's no way we're not gonna talk about Cut the Bullet, right?
Exactly. So I do really enjoy the fact that it wasn't just like, even the supplement is called Cyberfists of Fury. You guys did take the time to also pull like sword techniques, archery techniques, gun techniques, and add that as well. So there's weapons in addition to.
Yes.
And the bow stuff.
Yeah, well, I got the archery one here. Don't you worry. But yes, as a sword technique, cut the bullet, of course. Yeah. Sorry, you were going to say something, so I will let you talk about it.
No. That's Kendo gets talking. Gunfu gets talking about a lot. Kendo talks about because it's an alternative to bullet dodging. Which allowed you to. I personally don't think you're actually cutting the bullet in half. I think that you're using your sword to deflect it, but even that's martial arts magic bullshit. But it is a cool thing. You know, you're able to do that. You're able to kite and there's no other explanation that you're cutting the grenade so it doesn't go off. Which, Mythbusters prove that you can shoot a grenade and damage it and it won't go off. Or at least as much as they could, because they couldn't do it with real grenades. They can only do it with a mock grenade packed with explosives that was rigged to work like a grenade. And point being, it's very cool. And then my favorite part is not that it does it, it's that you get to stow it immediately afterwards without an action. So You're doing and then in the background it just falls to the ground kind of thing. And that is awesome.
I wish so badly that I could do this because my character cannot, for obvious reasons. I don't fit the requirements. But I have broken a monokatana cutting into a car. Like, I have such a bad record of me with swords that I would love this so much.
It is a really cool weapon. Anyway, I'll tell you what. If I were a generous GM, I would let somebody tech upgrade their sword to project a magnetic field to give you a bonus on this.
Ooh.
And a +1 on this.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the only thing I'm missing is the Will 8, otherwise I could get it. You know what it makes me think of? The scene in the not Deadpool movie that we don't talk about. What is it, Wolverine and something, where he's like Experiment
Origins,
X?
X-Men.
That's the one.
Wolverine Origins.
But when he goes into the office and he just deflects all the bullets, then he cuts the last one in half, that's what this makes me think of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. I picture mostly deflecting. But still, badass as hell.
Yeah.
And at the second form, I love that the requirement is just, you're in combat. It's so simple. As long as you're in combat, you're good. And the fact that you can drop an aimed penalty to -2 is crazy. As someone who does aim shots a lot, I wouldn't have to spend luck.
Yeah, no, you're having to beat a DV-15 every time you do it. But still, it is pretty, and there's no limit. You keep doing it.
Yeah, every time.
All combat. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
If I had a weapon, if I were a weapon-based character, there's no way I wouldn't take this.
Yeah.
A melee weapon character.
And this feels like such a fun martial art. Like, it's the fashion over function rule of Cyberpunk, very much.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, next is Kung Fu, and I think I had this on here. Because the 5 forms, and like you get to choose 2 if you succeed. Oh no, it's instead of making 2 attacks, you choose to make a 5 forms attack. There's not even like a real required, other than having the skill at level 4. There's no normally we see you have to dodge all the attacks or you have to do something. You just get to choose 2 things, which depending on that turn can be so beneficial.
Yeah, I mean it's a proto martial art that is taught probably more than almost every other martial art in the world, except for maybe karate. So yeah, it's so easy to learn because there's been so much time learning how to teach it that it's a great entry martial art and therefore a great martial art for people to pick up.
Also, I like that, just kind of looking it over again, Leopard, it says your move is increased by 2 until the end of your turn. So if you get hit by that jerk that tries to run because they've got move 6, increase your move by 2 and catch up without wasting your action.
Yeah.
Right.
Or actually, that is your action, but you can still catch up, and when they're like, haha, I'm getting away, and you're suddenly right there, that would scare the crap out of me. It's like, oh no. Okay, now we get to the archery one. Kyudo? And I like that this one, she the first one.
Oh, I'm going to point out, by the way, that Shaolin Step, I believe, technically works with that Kung Fu move.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could pair them both. You could do the leopard first and then go even farther.
Yeah,
your
because
next
all you have to
turn.
do to do Shaolin Step is to have dodged all the attacks against you from your last turn, as long as you've dodged at least one.
Oh, I hadn't
So if
considered
you do
even
both
farther.
forms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
amazing.
You're moving like a 10
Yeah,
twice. You're moving 20 squares. That's
insane.
okay. Go ahead. Sorry, go on to Kyudo.
Okay, so the first one, I like that you get to. By the way, the couple that allow you to draw or stow to as like a kind of a free action to fulfill the requirement is a really nice touch. Since there are other requirements to not have that as an additional thing, I just wanted to say I found that really, really encouraging to pick up like those types of martial arts. So this one, the first one is about the stance that you can take.
Right.
Where was it damage gets increased?
Yeah, by 2d6.
Yeah.
It makes your bow one of the most powerful single-shot weapons in the game. At the detriment of you have to essentially become a turret, a immobile turret, which makes you a target and easy to hit.
It's true. But because it's a rate of fire one bow, like generally you're looking at a 4d6 already, so adding 2d6 on top is about the damage of a grenade.
Yes, C66, and in fact, there is one rifle that even in it's a rifle crossbow, but even in its rifle mode, you fire with the archery skill, which fulfills the requirement, and that fires at a 5d6, and therefore it becomes a 7d6 weapon with this.
That would be intense.
That's in black chrome, I assume.
That's black chrome. That is,
Everest?
It is an Everest, probably, or an Eagle Tech. Probably an Everest. I don't remember the exact, but it is a 76 single shot, and making it, I believe, technically speaking, the highest damage single shot weapon in the game when used with this technique.
That is insane.
Thank you. It is the Eagle Tech Survivalist.
Yes.
Thank you, chat. So yeah, I mean, as long as the rest of your party is drawing aggro, you're good.
Yep.
I did see someone had a question about like the Fisher Kitty, and I was like, could you do that? But the Fisher Kitty is a rate of fire 2 weapon, so it does not fulfill these requirements. Because it says make with a rate of fire 1 for the martial arts.
Yes. Yeah, that weapon would not. It is not a rate of fire 1 weapon, so it would not increase the damage of the weapon.
Exactly.
Unless you tech upgraded it to be a rate of fire 1 weapon. There's nothing saying you can't use tech upgrades to downgrade a weapon.
And then you can.
I want to downgrade my Fisher Kitty so I can do 2d6 more. You know what? That's legit, though.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah. And then the second special move is when you hit a target with an aim shot made with weapon fire with the archery skill.
Right.
You beat your DV-15. You can regain up to 2 of your spent luck points, and I like that there was, a way to regain luck in combat.
Yeah, and there's Kung Fu has one. I believe there's a couple of the martial arts that do that. And here we're obviously equating luck with, say, Chi, or other mystical forces, basically with being in tune with the universe.
And luck being the closest thing to magic that we will.
Yeah, it's the closest thing to magic that the Cyberpunk universe has.
Okay. So next, quickly, is the Militech Commando training. And I mostly just wanted to point this one out because, again, it was a nice way to improve the damage of light and medium melee weapons. So as a player who constantly carries light melee weapons, like a combat knife in her boot, mostly because, she's a nomad and should always have a knife with you for survival reasons as well as combat, having, not being hindered by that little damage cap, like having a way to go past that was a nice touch.
Yeah. And this is kind of our way of saying, yes, in the right hands, a knife is just as deadly as any weapon. And it also, it's just How many movies have come down to at the very end? The Commando has shot all their bullets and just their knife out.
Right.
Yep.
I also, and we're not there yet, but on the disarm, I love the requirement that you have 2 or more.
Hands free, yeah. And that's the idea, right? Is like, okay, you're disarmed, but now you have a knife, and now that knife does 46 damage.
Right.
And if you happen to have more hands, because
You never know.
That's how Cyberpunk works, right?
Yep. Is there anything you wanted to build? Obviously, Militech Commando training is a in-universe
Yes.
form.
It is another one of those in universe. We felt Militech deserved its own martial art since Arasaka had one.
It's only fair.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about that before? Just wanted to give it's a little.
I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Why can I not? I'm trying to pronounce this in my head, and my brain is just like stopping. Is it Muay Thai? It's not.
Muay Thai, yeah.
Muay Thai. Thank you.
Yeah.
This one. At first, I thought it was like a circular thing, but that's not what it is. I didn't make myself a note. Gosh, go past me. Because one is as long as you hit with a martial arts attack since the beginning of your last turn. And the other one is you damage at least a target with a brawling attack. And since both martial arts and brawling are rate of fire 2, as long as you do one martial arts and one brawling, you could use both special forms, could you not?
Probably, yes. Yeah. I think they're designed to feed into each other. Is the way James designed it. They also, in theory, is a good way to get your gun fu up to 5d6 or 46, depending on what gun you're using. So they're fun martial arts. Yeah, this is a case of the ferocity and power working into each other.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that these two complemented both brawling and martial arts.
Yeah. Also, condition ferocity is obviously really good to go with getting you some nice bonuses on your boxing shots, your knockout punch. It won't probably increase your knockout punch damage. It might if you're taking a lower strength character. That +1 bonus was always nice.
Yes, I remember when I started, I was like, +1 makes such a difference. Oh my gosh.
It does.
And if you ask me what the bonus is, it's always twice as much. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Multiarm Melee. If you guys want to talk about it, you can. All I have on the screen is the little bit of descriptive text that comes with this, because
yes,
I kind of freaked out a little, like in a good way. So a martial art developed by residents of the Yukon Valley of the Free State of Alaska to stand a chance against Biotechnica's specially augmented bears and win their fight against Petrocam.
Yes.
So
and you met those bears
yes.
in the Cyberpets DLC.
And too many arms.
They're out in the Yukon. In Yukon Valley.
Yeah.
Polar bears are terrifying, like, on their own. They're the most dangerous form. An enhanced polar bear scares me even more.
It's fair. The bears are frightening, and these are people who have multiple arms in the middle of the Yukon fighting bears hand to hand.
The concept here is just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk about the specifics, feel free, but I did like Smack Together. But I really wanted to point out this little lore world bit.
You're good. And they're good ones. Armed and Dangerous is nice. And, people are like, well, what is the benefit? Because, I don't get to make extra attacks. The benefit is you get access, if you have multiple arms, you get access to this. And this is a really cool one. And even better if you're a solo. Smack Together takes a lot of work to set up, but if you can get it set up, it's really cool.
Yeah. It feels very like it's got that move feel where you've got like two people and then you just like bang,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Or more.
Yeah, you could do so much more. Okay, so Panzerfaust, I think, is next.
Yes.
I specifically want to talk about Inner Chrome because the requirement for this one is you are an FBC or have less than 0 humanity.
Right.
Which, as a player, you can't do.
Right. It is an NPC.
Yes.
At that point, if you're not an FPC, this is Inner Chrome is something for GMs to give bosses.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to point this out, because I know a lot of, like, as a player, we get to be like, oh, how many different martial arts can I use? But if you're a GM, this one is probably one that you can maybe make a little more unique to your NPC, because it's going to be, unless you have a player that's an FPC, rare to come across.
Yeah.
But you can have a cyber second.
Absolutely.
And if you're gonna go into psychosis anyway, just spend all of your experience, dump it into this before you hand the character sheet to your.
Or it's like, cause as much pain to your party as possible.
That would be like the most epic. And I'm out. Good luck.
Wait! Oh no, something horrific's happening! Quick, I want to spend my AP.
Oh, and the last one that I have here is Sumo.
Sumo's fun. Sumo's a fun martial art. Yeah.
I loved seeing the sumo in here.
Yeah. No, we couldn't not include it. It's such a fun martial art, and more importantly, we have so many high body characters that it makes sense that it's the kind of thing that would get. Also, it's one of the few martial arts that lets you move your target, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
It has some neat concepts there. Plus, it gives you a bonus to face down.
That's what I wanted to point out. Specifically, yes.
Right. Because in my mind, face down has always been a very classic. Two samurais approach each other from opposite sides of a bridge across the stream, and there's only enough room for one to cross at a time. And so the two samurais, stare at each other, their hands on their swords, and then one just steps aside so the other one can pass because it knows that he will. Or if you've ever watched Leverage, there's a great point where Elliot and a Israeli-born hitter on an opposite crew face each other, and there's a close-up of one's face, and there's just a twinkling in the eyes, and then the scene plays out of them fighting, and one loses, and the other one stops and repositions, and the scene plays out again, and so they fight like multiple battles with each other without just looking at each other, without touching, and then finally, they act. But it was just a lot of fun, and sumo being the ultimate extension of that samurai facing each other, because there's a very big face down, and that's where in wrestling, professional wrestling brings that forward. I think that's one of the reasons why professional wrestling is so big in Japan, is it has a lot in common with sumo in that way. And there's they do it more verbally with smackdown talk, but there's that the first part of any fight is a mental face-off, and then it's a physical battle,
which is really cool to see. Yeah,
and the cool requirement is not exorbitant either. Like, you only need a 4 in the stat. So
yeah, the body 7 or higher is much harder, but most people, I think, in this game are going to have a decent body if they're a fighting character. And if you're going to play sumo, you're going to be playing a big character, and that requires the high body. But yeah, I'm going to point out Soap System obviously is also a unique martial art to this.
Yes.
Successor to Command Sambo, which was a 2020 martial art, I believe. It's nasty.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. It's like, you're fighting on the oil rig in the oil.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then Thamic and Thrash Sambo are new martial arts too. Thamic was in 2020, and Thrash Sambo is a evolution of Command Sambo as well. So we got some unique new things too, which is nice. But they feel to me like real evolutions of stuff that exists, as opposed to some. They're not lightsaber forms.
Yeah, for sure. Like it feels like a breathing, evolving martial art.
Yes.
Was there any other form that you wanted to talk about that I didn't go?
No, you got it. You did pretty well there. That's some cool stuff. I encourage people to explore them, and I encourage homebrewers to take this as inspiration and see what kind of cool things you can come up with. Because, like I said, there's plenty more. And while I've said if we didn't want them to start feeling samey, there is absolutely no reason why you can't come up with unique ideas to make your martial art special and interesting and to share. This is one of the biggest design spaces there is, next to, say, making your own cyberware or your own weapons. And I just encourage homebrewers. It's a great place to explore your game designing chops.
I'm not someone who dabbles in homebrew that probably won't touch martial arts because I just don't know enough about it. Thank you for giving us so many different options to have as a template, like where it's stat based or where it's evasion based or where you can use weapons. There's so much variety in these 23 forms that it's fantastic.
It is.
So you can find something to pull from.
And I want to thank all our playtesters too who worked on it because they helped make it better.
For sure.
That's it for me for Interface Red Volume 4. Unless you guys have any questions or anything else you wanted to comment on this incredible...
I could talk for another 6 hours, but it is late for Jay.
It is. I have to go and do a thing, actually, because it is. I have to do one more thing before I go to bed. So now is a good time for us to wrap up, if you don't mind.
Not at all. Stay tuned to website, Talsoriangames.com.
Yes.
For new information, new things that are going on. I think Gen Con is up and coming. This is the thing that's...
Gen Con is coming in, in the beginning of August. Next Friday, a week from tomorrow? Today. Is today Friday?
Yes,
yeah.
technically
A week from today, we'll be releasing. It's already been spoiled, so we'll be releasing Elfline's Online Magic Returns, which will bring magic spells to Elflines, and that's our next big thing. We're currently working on the Night City books, the 2077 book, and more DLC for the rest of the year. Those are the big projects I am currently playing around with.
Oh,
amazing.
So that's it. I just wanted to make sure that we did give a moment to talk about what's coming down the line, and what to keep an eye out for. If you haven't picked up Interface Red Volume 4, go do so. DriveThruRPG.com. Fantastic.
Link was in the description at one point.
And
hold on.
Thank you all for joining us today. Jay, thank you so much for your time and your insight. It is always a pleasure to have you here.
And always a pleasure to be here. Thank you both.
Thank you.
This is Sofa will return next week to go over Elfline's Online supplement. So check in for that, for spells and stuff. Otherwise, tune in to Save First Death stream tomorrow for another new episode of Shades of Scarlet, where you'll get to see Gibbs and I play our characters in Cyberpunk RED. And until next time, James, stay frosty.
Yep. Bye, everybody. Okay.